Good afternoon, WTU. I hope you're all keeping your spirits high and keeping well through all these troubling and challenging times. It's been very difficult for everyone. I've just had a very quick update with Robert. The redrafted letter that we're sending to the Secretary of State, we delayed the outcome, the redraft, sorry, I can't even think, I'm that tired. Delayed the redrafting until after the UN ruling, which was yesterday, whereby cannabis was once again recognised as a medicinal herb. I haven't had the opportunity to become fully up to date with all of the rulings, all of the votes and everything else, because my life doesn't give me opportunity to keep my finger on the pulse quite like it did before. However, it will be incorporated now into the WTU letter. Robert's drafting that now as we speak, he's just told me. So by tomorrow I should have the final draft. Obviously it's down to us to review and approve, but we should have the final draft of what is an invitation to respond from the WTU to the Secretary of State regarding prohibition of cannabis laws. Robert does believe that today's ruling can only be helpful in our favour, especially when quail ruling is one that we challenge the most in this country. But as ever, even the UN ruling has shown that the broader human rights or adult purposes argument is still a long way to go because of political ideology from around the world that voted in yesterday's vote. So the very narrow medical use is now being recognised, but the spiritual or creative or nutritional or even industrial even has yet to be acknowledged and respected. So to me, it's not that great of an achievement really. If they all read the truth and took it on board properly for why we're where we are today, I don't see how they could have voted to continue destroying people's lives with prosecution for cannabis related offences, as they call them. So I was very sad actually, because it just means loads of healthy people are going to have their lives ruined by prosecution. No progress at all in my mind, unless they happen to be really, really sick and then they can qualify for protection from prosecution. Now, under the letter of the law, no condition is exempt, but you have to have a GMC registered specialist. So in some ways it can only be for conditions for which there are GMC registered specialists. So if you have a condition that doesn't have GMC registered specialists, I suppose you can't qualify for cannabis on that basis. But you know, deep breaths, it's a long game, definitely a very long game. I hate politics and the way it just ruins everyone's lives for profit. Anyway, I'm going to go because I have children in the background and they were meant to be playing upstairs, now they're not, so I'm going to head off. But I just wanted to let you know Robert's working on the letter. It should be with us all in the community tomorrow to review, and once we've reviewed that, it will then be getting sent to the Secretary of State, inviting them to respond to the points we raise and the evidence collated, and upon which they will have to respond. And depending on their response will depend on what the WTU community has to do. In essence, we're fighting for the right to home-grow cannabis for private medical purposes, if you want to use that term. De-stressing and reducing anxiety is a medical purpose. So if you're using cannabis to take stress out of your life, that's medical use, ladies and gentlemen. They just call it recreational to try and divide it and conquer us. So you know, there is the argument that all use is medical. I'd say virtually. I'd put the word virtually before that personally. So you know, just to let you know, it's still happening very slowly in the background. I'm not doing as many things as I would like to have been able to do for obvious reasons, but hopefully when we get the Secretary of State response to the letter and the points we raise, that will give us an idea of whether we are able to or have to progress to court, or whether the Secretary of State will decide to let people cultivate cannabis for private sustainability, so they don't have to be paying hand over fist loads of money. Obviously, being a capitalist government, they might not like that idea, but we have included how much money they can raise through the VAT of growing equipment alone, 14.6 million per year, a tiny estimate. So on that note, I'm going to go back, finish getting tea ready for my kids. Wish you all well, keep your spirits high, don't let the current crisis grind you down. Lots of love, folks. Keep well, keep fighting.